Hi there, it's David Landis at Landis Communications, Inc., and we are celebrating 30 years in business. And one of my favorite people in the world is joining us today, a man that I have a long history with and a very esteemed journalist, Hank Plant. So, Hank Plant, hello and welcome.
Thank you, David. Great to see you. Happy 30th.
Thank you so much. Maybe obviously the Emmy Awards that are standing behind you are a testament to your history, but maybe you can talk a little bit about how we worked together and how we met.
I was one of the first openly gay TV reporters in the country, and one of the first to cover AIDS on a full-time basis at the CBS TV station in San Francisco, KPIX. You were the PR guy for the station. You got me into the New York Times with a photo that has never happened to me before or after. That's how good you were at public relations. But beyond that, you really, you got it. David, you really got it. What we were trying to do, we were trying to get the word out when everyone else was silent. The Reagan administration was silent. We were trying to do stories every night to get the word out about AIDS. And thank you, David. We really owe you a debt of gratitude for that.
Well, it's similar to the pandemic that we're in right now, where we have a leader who isn't really recognizing the severity of the issue and isn't really listening to science. And one of the things that I'm proud of working side by side with you is we really made a difference in educating the public that it didn't need to be something you were afraid of. And we gave
Yes.
them tools and you gave them education and hope.
Well, yes, there are so many parallels to today. I mean, a strange disease coming out of nowhere. Nobody knows how it's spread. How communicable is it? A group of heroes rises to the occasion. Healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, they do their job anyway. We have an indifferent president who barely talks about it. In Washington, in those days, Reagan, today, Trump. So many parallels. Yeah.
So, I remember that time very vividly because not only were you assigned the beat in the newsroom to actually cover AIDS, which I think was probably the first in the country, but we also got Elizabeth Taylor. We were the first people to approach Elizabeth to join
Yes.
the effort.
Yes.
It was
Elizabeth Taylor, who on her visit to San Francisco General AIDS Ward, she chain smoked Winston Lights through the whole hospital and nobody said a word.
I also remember that we brought the AIDS quilt for the first time to Washington, D.C. And
Yes.
that was part of a political act, even though we were a TV station, because
Yes.
Reagan would not utter the word AIDS. I remember meeting Cleve Jones. You met all these people. You met the doctors at SF General. You met Cleve Jones. I mean, what a
Yes.
time, right?
Yes, I mean, and they became our regular sources and a regular part of our news stories. I think that, David, you and I being openly gay, we got it early, that this was a big deal and it was going to get bigger. I saved a lot of my stories on disc back then because videotape disintegrates. And so last year when the documentary 5B came out and they said, do you have any old video? And I said, I have 3 discs of this stuff from Channel 5 and I gave it to them. And so lucky that I had saved that. But you and I understood what a big deal it was. I think because it was more than a story to us. These were our friends who were being affected.
I remember I came out here in 1980 to work for the symphony, and there were 5 of us who were very good friends from Northwestern University, where I went to school, and there were a fraction of that by the end of the 80s. And it was a terrible time. And so, working side by side with you, Hank, it felt like at least we could make a difference. At least we could, in spite of this pandemic, we could hopefully do something for the community. So
I think that we saved people's lives. And how many times can you say that about news coverage? But when the government was silent and we were going on the air every night telling people, here's how you don't get this disease. practice same sex, use condoms, etc. And nobody else was saying that, at least not at the government level. It's the work that I'm proudest of, and I'm proudest to work with you back then.
And just for our viewers, Mr. Plante and the team at KPIX won, I think it was 2 national Emmys.
Yes.
And the Peabody Award.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that really says a lot about the work that we did. This wasn't just a local effort. It was hated nationwide.
And I remember being with you after we won one of those national Emmys in New York. You and I shared a cab, and we were going off. I don't know if we were going to dinner or a party or something, but we were just we were very calm and silent and looking at each other and both basking in how good it felt to have our work recognized. It's a very wonderful moment for me to have in my head, going back 30 years here.
So let me shift a little bit. Since we're in the public relations business and you come from journalism, which is the other side of the desk, how important is public relations to businesses and to any industry in general?
Most of the PR people I've worked with are not very good. The ones who are good are irreplaceable. Like you, I have gotten some of my best news stories from smart PR people who are brilliant enough to read the newspaper that morning, see the news of the day, and think, I've got a client involved in that, and start calling reporters and saying, you looking for somebody to interview? I would get those calls when I was desperate to find a story every morning at 9 in the morning. Someone like you would call me and I'd say, yeah, I'll be right there. Good PR people are invaluable, including PR people for politicians. Once again, most of them don't know how the news business works. I mean, I've had so many situations where I will say want to do a story on a new cancer drug or an AIDS drug, and I'll call the PR person for the pharmaceutical company, and I'll say, I'm Hank from Channel 5 TV. Can we interview somebody in your management team as soon as possible? We're on the air at 5 o'clock. And they will say, this has happened so many times, they will say, yes, she can talk to you by phone at 2 o'clock. And I'll say, I'm on television. Did I not say that? They don't even get that I'm on television, even though I've said that. See, I think it's because they've never worked in the TV business like you have, and they don't understand how.
It's funny because I can't tell you how many times I've said to clients, they come to me and they say, I want to be on the Today Show. And the first thing I say to them is, what's the visual?
Yeah.
They don't have any visual.
Right.
So, yeah, it's crazy. Well, any final words here, Hank, for us?
I just want to wish you a happy 30th. You deserve it. You deserve all the success you've had. You're highly respected. You know, in your business, all you have is your word, and your word is gold. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure, and thank you for being our first guest on this series.
Thanks, David.